Good morning. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul
and Jolene. And today Saul wants to discuss experience points.
Oh, the great experience point debates.
To experience point or not to experience point?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with my admission that I started playing D&D. Original D&D. Which you probably already
Like
knew.
they haven't heard that 150 times.
So you're right. And the reason I say that is because that's my basis of role-playing, right? That's my grounding, my foundations. And when we have that foundation, we have this idea that XP, what is XP for, right? And so when we used to play original D&D, we used to get experience points for killing things and gold pieces, or how much stuff was worth that we found on these bodies that we just killed. Usually they were monsters, so it was okay to kill them.
And then you wonder why you play with a bunch of murder hobos.
Well, there is that, right? I don't think we're a bunch of murder hobos. I think me and Mike.
I meant your children, or your child and your friends' kids.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but anyway, so
because we killed the monsters and took their stuff, and the boys really liked that.
So the evolution of XP, giving out XP, right?
So basically, for original D&D, you got experience points. One of the things that I think is weird is you got the experience points for killing the monster if you killed the monster. Right. The other person standing next to you didn't get the experience points, like they weren't in the fight. That
was part of the rules.
Yes, I understand. So that's one of the rules that has changed.
Yes.
Unless you play with some of the people I play with who still, I always sometimes, no offense to anybody, sometimes feel like I'm being graded on my role playing when I get my experience email. Why did so-and-so get more experience points than I did? Weren't we all there?
We had discussed that you were going to bring that up. But anyway, so what does we used to get experience for that, and that for back then as a 10-year-old kid, it made sense, right?
Well, not only that, but that was the way that you leveled up. You got to go and get more because every so often your experience would put you to the next level.
Right.
Then you got to get a new skill or up.
You get more powerful.
Yes.
Okay, so you jumped to
Sorry,
where I was going to go.
Jumped the gun.
Yeah, you jumped my outline here, but that's okay. So as time wore on, experience points, what you got experience points has changed, right? And how it's doled out. For example, you're right. When we used to play original D&D, the person who killed the monster got the experience for that monster. And and I understand. I don't understand why that was, because if a group was taking place, if a group was acting as a group to kill something or defeat something, why not as a group everybody gets experience? But that's not what Gary thought or Dave Anderson thought or whoever originally penned that kind of idea. But that quickly changed. I'm not sure if AD&D still had to kill the monster to get their experience points. I think it still did.
I think it must have.
I think it did. And that probably didn't change officially till 3rd edition. Though I don't know about 2nd edition. But I don't remember Felipe doling out experience that way, in the fact that if you killed it, you got experience for the
Felipe
kill.
is more equitable, probably.
Right. And he probably saw how
unfair.
Much, and unfair, and how much that didn't make sense, right? Because it could be like 3 players might have been fighting a monster, and they're whittling down, and then somebody was doing something, whatever, and he comes up and he hits the monster for 1 hit point and kills it. He gets all that experience. Well, let's say, can you imagine if it was a dragon, and you get like 10,000 experience points? Whoa! The wizard just jumped up 5 levels, and the people who were kicking the monster's butt for 5, 10, 15 rounds get nothing except for gold experience. So there's that. So that didn't seem very fair. And so when we moved up the timeline to 3rd edition, which came out in 2000, I believe, experience is shared. Now we're talking about D&D, so we're going to switch gears later on. So I'm just talking about the evolution of how experience is doled out in D&D. So 3rd edition comes out and it's shared, right? What you do is you have this creature level, and there was this formula that you would use. It's not that difficult of a formula. You would just get the CR value, the creature level.
Are you sure that wasn't Pathfinder?
Yeah, they did the same thing. Yeah, you get the creature level, how many creatures of that level there were, and then you divide it by the player level and all this other business, and it spits out a number, and that number is given to everybody in the group. Bada bing, bada boom.
So your party gets to advance together.
Right. And another thing that changed was from AD&D to 3rd edition, and I don't know about 2nd edition again, is that when a fighter back in AD&D to go up a level was usually less experienced than a magic user or a cleric, right? And so fighters would, if you played with the same group and more or less killed the same amount of things, the fighter would gain experience levels faster than a wizard. And I guess it was some sort of a balancing act because a high level wizard was really powerful, where a fighter, not so much. I mean, they were still pretty powerful, but wizards could usually take out a fighter pretty easy, depending on the situation. Anyway, so 3rd edition did away with all that. For example, in AD&D, to go up a level, you needed like 1,200 experience points for a fighter. It would be 1,500 points for a wizard, and something like that. So it wasn't exactly the same. So 3rd edition changed all that. It just said levels. And you hit this, no matter what thing you use, boom, you go up a level. And all experience points is shared. And it took away that. I think they took away the experience for gold. Pretty sure they did.
I've never heard of that, so they must have.
Yes. Pathfinder did the same thing. I don't think they changed anything. Maybe they changed the creature levels and CR values and all this BS. But pretty much the same thing. You count up all the experience, the monsters that were killed, divided by number of players. Bada bing, bada boom. You spit out the experience that the whole group gets.
Not all games are like that, though, right? Even the old games aren't like that.
Well, for example, Space Opera had absolutely no experience.
And Traveler, you
there was no experience.
You only got to gain things like if you survived, and then when you went, you had to roll again to see if you lived, and silly things like that.
That's under character creation.
I know.
Okay, but once your character's created, there's no.
Yes, but then you still only get a certain. You get to go up a little bit after, don't you?
No, there's no experience in Traveler.
It's only at character creation.
The only way you gain anything in Traveler is if you study. So Space Opera did the exact same thing. So, and the whole idea was, at least for Space Opera, Traveler, I have no idea, but for Space Opera, you were the pinnacle of fighting forces in the universe, or in the galactic whatever sphere, or whatever you want to call it. When you made a character, you were like the best of the best, right? So there was nothing. More experience wasn't going to make you better by their idea. So there was no experience in Space Opera. You just went. You just went and did stuff for in my game you were in the military, so you did it because you were told to do it. And then when they mustered out, that was when they left their services, they got a job and they were doing it for money. But there was no experience in Space Opera, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, but some people didn't because but see, the characters were really powerful anyway, compared to most.
So that's a different, because it's a different game, obviously.
Right.
With D&D, you start out at first level, whatever that means, and then you go up, right?
Well, D&D is that classic farm boy, right? The
yes.
tale of Luke Skywalker, but in fantasy.
Or Frodo.
Oh, Frodo, right? But did Frodo become a 10th level farmer or anything? No, I don't think he gained any levels.
Oh, he gained a lot of experience, though.
Yeah. But did it make him more powerful? I guess.
No.
I guess he was more charismatic, maybe? I don't know.
More wily?
Well, how about Sam? Sam gained experience, and he became more self-assured, and he got the girl at the end, remember? What's her name?
Rosie.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But he didn't become like more powerful. Well, I don't know, because he as you progressed at least in the movies, as he progressed, and same thing in the books, he became more self-assured. Right, when he was fighting, he became more comfortable fighting. Where at the very beginning he didn't want to fight at all.
But Aragorn was always just the king, right?
Well, there you go. I don't know. So I don't think there's any experience progression in the Lord of the Rings. I don't think. Anyway, but we're talking about D&D, and we're talking about role-playing games. So experience has changed in the way it's doled out. We went from experience for killing monsters and their gold to the kill of the monster actually, and then now shared experience for the killing of the monsters, and no experience for gold. And then there's a new idea of gain XP for role playing. For good role playing, you get a bonus. Now this is I don't know if this is in the rules but I've heard this consistently. Maybe just because of my group that I play in. It's the same people I've always played with, that they give bonuses for good RP. And I think I've seen that in other things where
they've read about it and had it done by other GMs and stuff, right?
That makes sense, right?
Which is good, except sometimes if you're having a bad day or you're tired and don't talk a lot, then, sometimes it doesn't seem quite fair.
So we're moving away from D&D because D&D, I don't think there's anything in D&D that says you should get experience for good role playing. They do have this, what is it called?
Inspiration?
Inspiration, right? That you give it for good role playing or for whatever. I forget. I haven't read that.
It's like when they give you a chit that you can use to make sure your whatever you want to do works.
Right. Other games, they call it plot points, bennies, whatever you want to call them. And what they do is this a chit.
Does Space Opera have levels?
No, I just said that.
Not
no
Space
levels.
Opera. I'm sorry. What's the other game that we play? Shadowrun. Does it have levels?
No, you have karma, which is experience.
That's what it is.
And
so that is the way that you gain stuff.
Character.
Yes.
So I believe that's the newer way of experience is done. Instead of levels and ring, this little magic bell rings out, and you get to
add stuff.
You're in the middle of a dungeon. You get 6
you
more
get
hit
to buy
points.
what you want with
You
in
get 6 more hit
Shadowrun.
points.
Yeah.
And then you're able to get another weapon you can use, and you get another action surge. No, that doesn't happen. So it sort of happens in Shadowrun, but in Shadowrun you spend karma,
yes,
and it takes a little bit of time to get whatever you're trying to get, which is usually it's a skill or an implant or something like that. So that seems to be more the modern way of dealing with experience, is that you get, instead of these massive amounts of numbers that really don't
arbitrarily going from first level to second level,
you get these little points that help, or like character build points that
right.
you use from the very beginning of the game, like Shadowrun and karma points. Almost
money in Shadowrun also can enhance your character by being able to have surgeries to install more stuff into you.
I do remember somebody complaining that if you were a certain kind of character that didn't do implants, or not implants, but didn't like their making their character better, but they really relied on money, that there was like you could transfer, like you can make every karma point was equal to 10,000.
Oh, I never knew that.
No, that was an optional rule that I've heard floating around.
Because because I really don't like the whole enhancing myself with all these. Like my son, they're like, okay, get these and then you can do this and it'll make you so strong. But being a fighter in that game is pretty cool, because if you have all those implants and stuff, then
but you get closer and closer to loss of
yes,
so you become a cyber psychosis.
But if the way that I played it, I played a magic user, so I didn't have any of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
and I was a lot less. I was a lot more squishy, as Augustine would say.
Squishy is a good term.
Although I did destroy a market with a fire, so they're different. It's a give and take, right? How much experience you want versus what it is you're, how you want to play your character.
So I think that's a more modern way of dealing with experience, is doling out these smaller numbers. For example, Tales from the Loop. Basically, you ask these 5 questions and you get up to 5 points of experience. And with those 5 points, you can up your skill or up your skills.
That's a little bit better than being handed the experience, because you have to tell everybody. It's a little harder too, because everybody gets to decide whether you actually did it, right? Like, I forget what the questions were, but did you participate in all of the acts, or did you,
that's the easy one.
Yeah, and then there's other things, right? But it's a collective thing.
Yes.
So it makes it's when you're playing with these guys that are like really like they play all the time. It makes it interesting to see how other people see what you did,
right?
Versus what you have it in your head that you did.
Yeah. For example, one of the questions that Tales from the Loop asks is, did you participate in the game? Yes, you automatically get 1 experience point. And then it goes, did you suffer for your troubles?
Yes,
right?
yeah.
and your troubles. They ask you these 5 questions, and you can get up to 5 points, which is the maximum. And you're saying it around the table at some time. And a lot of times,
and people can disagree with you.
A lot of times when people play, they go, "Well, I don't know if I should get that point because I'm not sure if it really." And then other people say, "No, yeah, you should get that point because of this." Usually that's what happens.
Or there's one person going, "No, you shouldn't get it. I agree with you."
Well, usually people are not like that. Usually people are very timid about taking points that they don't feel they should take. So it seems like it to me from what I've seen in actual plays and from what I've seen when people play.
But Tales from the Loop is one of those games where it has to do with what you're experiencing as this child character, right? So it's a very emotional kind of toll. It can take a toll on you. Literally.
Yeah, I never thought of it that way, but I love that game. I have a blast. It's right up my alley because it's about little kids in the 80s that never was. It's Stranger Things plus, if you ever, we've talked about Tales from the Loop, and Simon, I'm going to butcher his last name, Stalinlag or whatever his last name is. He's the artist that the game is based on. He mixes this high technology with 80s look and 80s nostalgia, and it's like pretty amazing. And there's even a Tales from the Loop show on Amazon, though it tends to be a little dark.
Oh yeah, that one was kind of.
Yeah, I run a little bit lighter game, a little bit more like Goonies and stuff like that than this really dark, suffering for your technology and isolation type of stuff. It's a Swedish game, but I make it into a nice Western, happy-go-lucky California game. But that game, you're right. The GM doesn't even give you the experience points. You, as a player, have to say, yes, I did do this, and yes, I did participate in this action, and this and I did do this I did suffer for the group or whatever. I did imperil my character to try to save somebody and stuff like that. So I think,
and it's not hard to do all those things.
No, it's not. But it's a totally different way of getting experience than the GM deciding for the whole group. Oh, I believe you should get this.
Your role playing was very good.
Yes,
and
and be this giving this experience to the players, right?
And your role playing sucks.
You drop that complaint. Take that offline, woman. Again, what is the goal of experience in D&D? Is to gain levels and to become more powerful. And some games are not about that. Tales from the Loop is not about becoming more powerful. Sure, it's about as you get older, you get a few more skills, but that's not the point of the game. You're not trying to become, king and rule over a certain area of land if that's your goal, or be the master thief of Waterdeep.
But if you look at in D&D, usually I play a magical
really?
a magician.
I don't think you've ever played
a sorceress. That's not true. I'm playing a fighter right now.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, and I even played a paladin recently. Not very well, but I played her in Jim's game. Paladin. Remember?
Yeah.
When you play a magic user, it's really is a progression, right? Your first level, and there's I've read a bunch of stuff about why would you be first level, but whatever. Anyway, as you go, you gain more spells and stuff. So when you get those experience points, you've learned how to cast more spells, which is the way I've always thought about it, because I usually played a magic user.
Correct.
And so if you think about it for fighters and stuff, if you start out at 18, you're a first level fighter, so you have to actually have experience. You're not like a seasoned veteran.
Right, you're learning how to fight, and
so as you go up the levels, you get these better and better things that you can do.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But that's the way that you see that I've always seen it in
right.
Pathfinder
and
D&D. I can also see the other way that the newer ways to do it.
Well, I think the biggest complaint is, like, let's say you're in the middle of a dungeon and ring, all of a sudden you get 10 more hit points, and I can learn how to use a different weapon. But
usually people don't get experience levels in the middle of a session.
Well, and let's say the session ends and you're still inside the dungeon.
Well, you're not going to. You or me wouldn't give them the experience till you were done with the adventure.
Wow.
Right?
I don't know. Some people give it out at the end of the session.
Well, you don't do that. Mainly because
Mike does that.
That's true.
After every session, yeah. because we don't know when we're going to play next, kind of thing.
That's different than when you're playing a campaign. You never let us go from 6th level to 7th level in the middle of a campaign.
I think I have. Well, look at Storm King's Thunder.
Why am I looking at it?
Because it was a huge, long campaign.
Oh,
you
that's
guys
true.
gained
It was
all
a
kinds
year.
of levels. You guys gained all
But
kinds
you
of
didn't
levels.
give it to us in the middle of a fight or anything.
Well, you know, I'm being what is it, hyperbolic in a sense, but you can. I mean, if somebody's giving you, I want experience for this session, okay, yeah, I would give you, and then ring, like I said, I know another 2 spells. Oh, I can now throw a 5th level
Okay,
spell.
so don't do that, people. It has to make sense, right?
Well, that was a big problem, is that it didn't make sense. But you're right. You can.
Once you get back to town, give them the experience. Let them take their bath and rest for a couple of days, and then they have an epiphany and know all these things.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, of course you can make it more sense by saying, I will only give experience when you get back to a safe place, right? That makes sense. But some people don't do that, and I'm saying it's completely fine and it's completely within the rules. But it doesn't matter. So there's some games that like I said, they don't give no experience.
They don't give any experience.
They don't get no experience. No, they don't. The experience is not part of the game. So we were talking about progression of experience. So there is the XP for role playing. There's XP for just playing, like in Tales from the Loop. And then their D&D has alternate experience or going up levels called milestones. So they do away with XP.
Milestones is pretty cool.
Okay. I'm glad you think so.
Morgan was the one who was talking about that.
It's in the core book. So
I believe you.
So the milestones does away with XP counting, does away with all this number crunching, and the GM decides, ring, you're now at new level. So that would make more sense, right? If you probably would agree that the GM decides, though that's kind of arbitrary, the GM would, in his or her benevolent and knowledgeable way, would grant a level when they see it fit for the players to gain a level. Usually it'll probably happen after a certain session is over, when the players are safe. They're going, once you reach town, ring, you're now 2nd level and stuff like that. But they could be stored in the middle of a dungeon too. It doesn't stop them.
When the Mad Mage, the dungeon of the Mad Mage,
yes,
it says that you're supposed to start that adventure book at 4th level, right? And when you get done with it, you're supposed to be at a certain level. And basically, you're gaining a level basically for each level of the dungeon that you do.
Finish.
Yeah. So, and the monsters are set for certain levels as you're going.
Right.
You're going down in this particular one, but it makes it interesting that the book has decided, or the people that wrote it, not the actual book, they've decided that, okay, if you do all of these things, then you should be able to go up to the next level, because you're going to need more skills to defeat the people in the next level of the dungeon.
You need to be tougher.
Right.
So this is not a new idea, this levels with dungeons. My brother, when he had his Tunnels of Terror, I believe he did the same thing. As like I said, it's not a novel idea that the level of the dungeon is the level that the character should be in. So if you go to the 1st level, everybody should be 1st level. When you go to 2nd level, everybody should be 2nd level, and on the way on down the line. What it does is it's kind of, what is it?
It's a simulation kind of thing, right?
Well, not even. It's more
because a simulation is in the fact that you're going to fight all these things, and then you're going to go up to the next or down to the next level, right? You're going to have gained all of this stuff and experience to be able to.
It seems, I don't know what the term is.
Artificial?
Yes, that's what it is. It seems artificial that all the monsters on the 2nd level are geared for 2nd level people fighting, right?
But if you're gonna do a level per dungeon, then you're gonna have to do that, right?
Well,
it's all what you want to do. That's more simulation than role playing in that particular instance, right?
Yeah, that's true, because it's more mechanical.
Yeah, you're kicking in the door, fighting something.
So, do you like the idea of milestones?
I did. Morgan was talking about it, about how, and he was talking about the.
Was he running 3rd edition? Is that what he did?
He said that he got out the rules, he read them, and when he was doling out, he didn't like the idea of the way that the experience was given out. Then he read about the milestone, and
he
thought that made more sense,
right?
Versus counting up all the points for. And that's when I
Did
told
he make
him
a spreadsheet supposed to be?
Yes, he said he had to make a spreadsheet, and I totally agreed with him that it's totally insane to have to know how many monsters you had, and you literally need to put out all of their experience, and then you're dividing it by the number of people in the group and different kinds of things. So it makes it the CR level I'm talking about.
I know.
So you need sometimes you need a spreadsheet with all those monsters.
I never used a spreadsheet. I would just...
You used a piece of paper and you went 1,000 and you have it written down 9 times because there were 9 monsters, right? And then you did that. Well, there was a dragon, this many points,
right? And
then you added it all up and divided it by the number of people, which Augustine had to watch you because he was worried that you weren't doing it right.
Well, I didn't think it was that difficult. No, you're right. You can. There is a little bit of a weird thing that if the monster is lower level than you, then you don't get as much experience points because it's too easy of a fight. Now, there's a table. At least there is a table in. I know there's one in Pathfinder because I've used it, and I'm not sure about.
There's lots of tables in Pathfinder.
Yeah, that's true. But there's an XP table saying that if the characters are 5th level and the monster's CR level is 2, you get
less.
You get, and the monster, if you were at the same level as the monster, you get 50 points. But because you're 2 levels higher, you only get 30 points, right? Something like that. That's all I did. I looked at the number. That's what I did. I wrote down the number.
Well, when it comes to that, so instead of having to do all the math, you could just go, okay, you've killed all these monsters here. You're going to go to 2nd level now. It's a milestone. Here you go.
So that is pretty new. Some people...
I'm sure people don't like that, and I'm sure some people do like it.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. I think that there's a split. I think, and you could usually tell, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Who do you think likes that milestones, and who do you think doesn't like their milestones?
The Friday night group doesn't like those kind of milestones. They want you to earn it.
And where are they?
Old school.
Just old. You can just say old. Older. How's that? They're all 50 plus.
Oh, so's the other group.
What other group is that?
The Palo Alto group, the Stanford group, and they're going to go more with milestones.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, you're right.
And then there's our group. They just want to kill things and take their stuff.
I think they like the idea of adding up their
the boys
experience.
Oh my gosh!
If I switch, they're
like spreadsheets in themselves. They want all those numbers to crunch.
Well, they're kind of math heads already. So.
They are. They are the epitome of STEM. For education purposes.
Oh yeah.
They are the physics guys. The guys that
are high school students. Well, I say are because my friend's kid is 2 days younger than our kid, and so they're both taking AP math classes and advanced placement.
They're seniors now.
Yeah, and they're taking advanced
AP,
physics, AP, math, AP, all this other crap. So for them, number crunching isn't a hard thing, or isn't something that
it's like you should see their eyes light up. It's like when Augustine and Alan are talking about calculus, and we're talking things that I don't have a clue about. Their eyes just go. They get so big, and they're like, oh, and you can see them. And when they're talking about physics stuff, I mean, that's their thing, right? That's what they're doing right now,
right?
So. They said that I would use algebra when I was out of high school and college, but I really don't use algebra that much.
No,
and we're talking higher math and higher science stuff.
I haven't had the need to use solve for the quadratic equation since I took that class. So intermediate algebra.
But no, so when we're talking about experience points and kids that like numbers, you can see why the numbers matter to them.
And they like the number
milestone
crunching.
Is going to be, oh, okay, well, but they also play D&D online or DDO, and they're like, don't kill it. That's my monster to kill. Why did you take my kill?
I don't know how.
I don't know how the experience works on that one, but it's really high level.
I just think they're being possessive,
and they're hilarious. So they do that in the regular game too, like Legolas and Gimli.
Gimli, yes.
So.
They count how many kills they have.
Yes. That's the difference between a spreadsheet for your calculation for your experience versus a milestone.
Right. It doesn't matter to me. I mean,
it doesn't matter to me either. Although I feel kind of bad sometimes that maybe I didn't perform the way that the GM was looking for. I didn't give him enough role playing.
And then sometimes there's some games that take the like Tales from the Loop. You ask questions that take the GM out of the equation. Another game like that is The One Ring. The One Ring, when you attempt something and you succeed, you get a little check mark, right, on that particular skill. And what's really amazing is that the check marks, they call them, I forget what it is, but there's little diamonds that you fill in, and there's AP points, and then there's experience points, and it's really neat. But the GM has absolutely no control over how much experience is given. It depends on how successful the character is in certain skills, and they're able to spend those points in those skills that are associated with what you succeeded in, which is pretty neat.
Well, isn't Pendragon, isn't it have to do with your glory?
Well, that's calculated by the GM and given by the GM. You know what I mean?
Oh, is it? I thought it was calculated, I guess, maybe.
I think you're talking about how you calculate before you begin play.
Yeah.
If you took place you took part of this battle, you get
tournament or
200 glory. You get 10 glory if you're you married, your mom married into a nice family. If you married into a really nice family, you get 1,000 glory. So I'm like, geez, it's purely arbitrary in that sense because you just roll a die and figure it out.
Okay.
Or like your dad took place in this battle.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a different way to.
But the GM
GM then gives you the
right after play begins.
It's called glory points and not experience points.
Glory, yes.
And that gives you special things.
I don't know what glory does. I don't think there's gaining levels in Pendragon. I know you could get better.
Well,
you could spend glory to get better. Yeah. It's exactly. So that's a sort of a different take on experience, right? There's experience to like D&D where you just after 1,000 points you gain a level, right? Ta-da! And then there's other games that where you spend your experience, right, and to get
your
better.
Karma or whatever.
Karma, experience XP in Tales from the Loop, whatever they want to call it. Fate points or whatever. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
So there's all kinds of different ways to get experience. It's not just kill the monster.
And what they mean and what you can do.
Yeah. And what it means for your character.
Right. So I kind of like the idea of giving experience where the players then choose how to make their character better. Like Karma in Space Opera. Like Karma in Shadowrun. I really like that kind of idea.
Well, that's what D&D does. As you gain the level, then you get extra things, right? You get to either pick a new spell, you get a new skill, or you get to add stuff to make your character better at your roles as you're going along.
Right. But I like the idea of more targeted spending. Like Shadowrun, it's really targeted.
Yes.
Like, I want to increase my reflexes by buying this.
Well, I'm telling you that the boys target it in D&D. You need to put that extra point onto charisma. They tell me, right? This is what you need to do because that's going to make your character stronger this way. And then they go into the why.
Okay, I guess
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not like if you just play it's not like you're saying that playing D&D or Pathfinder or something is less thought-provoking for how you're going to make your character, your experience, make your character better.
Right.
Versus Tales from the Loop, where you get the experience and then you choose also how you're going to make your character better.
You're right. I totally agree. You are correct. To me, it just seems more personal when you decide exactly how you're going to spend the experience. To me, than just ring. You're at the second level because you automatically get stuff in D&D.
Yeah, but you have to figure out what it is that you want to, which way you want to take your character. As the boys always say, maybe I'll multi-class. Then I can do this, right? That kind of thing. Versus,
God, I hate that because it's just really maximizing their freaking character. Because if I do get this level, 3 levels of Ranger and 4 levels of Rogue, that means I can get.
Then you have to learn 2 things. I can't do that.
My brain just explodes with that kind of crap.
So there you go. There's a lot of ideas on experience.
So experience
points
has changed. The way it's from where it's humble beginnings to what it is now, and I think it's probably changed for the better.
Yeah.
The whole idea of the killing blow and gold experience points created murder hobos, because if you're gonna get experience for killing a monster and gold, then that's all the people are gonna want to do, right? And hence,
Especially
murder hobos, existed and are fruitful
prolific.
and multiply, right? When you change that, I think it changes the type of game.
Right.
At least it can. It can change the mentality of the player going, oh, I don't have to kill the monster. You get experience for defeating or going around.
You also just get experience
encounter.
for encountering him. You don't have to kill him, right?
Right. No. Yeah. What do
You
we call
run
it?
into a dragon. You've experienced the dragon, so you get points for it.
Well, I mean, usually
you don't get like all the points, right?
Well, it depends on what you did. Like if
Right.
you just see a dragon, you don't get experience for seeing the dragon. But if you dealt with the dragon and
didn't
overcome
and
the
didn't
dragon,
die.
overcome the situation, whatever that entails.
Yeah.
Whether it,
Not dying
it doesn't have to
is
be,
what it entails.
It doesn't have to be killing the monster, killing
No.
the dragon, but it could be, working with the dragon to make sure that he doesn't eat you and saying, well, instead of eating us, how about we do you a favor that you really need to go do this and this happen, and then that would work, right?
Right. So you would get experience for that.
Correct.
You would get experience for staying alive.
Correct. And solving the problem
Yes.
and encountering the dragon and not getting
Right.
So you don't have to kill it. So I think
Right,
that's a
that's
kind of
the-
novel idea too. So I think we both agree. We both like the way RP roleplay XP works and has matured. I can honestly say that giving of XP has matured. New games have given different ideas of how to give experience and what experience means. And I
Yes.
think that's all better for everybody who
So
plays.
if you're old school or newfangled, it doesn't matter. It's
Well,
all
it
the
does
same.
matter.
Just keep giving out that experience. This is Gaming Perspectives with
Saul,
Angeline.
you have a good day.